Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard.
I know we didn't actually wind up going to a con today.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not actually.
Yeah, the options weren't particularly good this weekend.
No. This is YumaCon, which is a big con that I think Pop Culture Choreography and Wetlands Ninja, or the shout out again, are at this weekend.
Yep.
But we have two back-to-back cons next weekend, both of which require out-of-town trips.
Yep.
So we decided not. That one's in Michigan. It's very big. We're told there's some drama involved with it, like a lot of cons.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, we're not a con drama podcast, so we try to keep that stuff off the air whenever possible. Also, no one should listen to us.
I love the fact it felt like there was going to be more to that sentence. It was like, no, nobody should ever listen to us.
I mean, I don't mind them listening to us, but like our episodes that aren't about particular cons don't tend to do that well. Like Midwest Fun Fest, I think it's gotten like 3 views.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Which is a lame thing, because Midfest Fun Fest is great. Support the bunny population by getting your pets spayed and neutered.
Yeah. With bunnies, that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Again, we found out that bunnies can get pregnant like 2 days after they give birth. Great.
It's not even 2 days. They can get pregnant the same day.
Wow. Yeah, there's a reason why those suckers reproduce at the speed they do.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, what do we do instead today?
We mostly did what we kind of do on weekends that we have off, which is go to fancy grocery stores that we like, because with my digestive disorders, I need like specific things.
Yep.
And go to round one. So we thought we'd just do a podcast on cool stuff in the vaguely Ohio/Midwest area, how to find it, what's cool, and then maybe we'll like shift into con tips at the end.
Yep.
This is going to be a loosey-goosey episode, but you got 2 episodes the last couple weekends, so
yep.
And we're on track to beat our con number, so.
I mean, we've already beaten our con number. It's whether we beat that other guy's con number that you're worried about.
Yeah, we need to like suck that guy. That guy can suck my dick. What?
Okay, his number was 43. This is like episode 38, I think.
Yeah, but we've done at least 2 episodes where we weren't actually going into cons.
True, but there's also cons we did before we started the podcast. Like, we're fine. We'll beat him.
So we should probably explain, like, we did start today planning to go to a con and are dressed up to go to a con, and then kind of halfway through what else we were doing, we're just like, we're not really feeling it. So.
Yeah. Like, so you're in your Alice dress today.
Yes. You're sort of in a Mad Hatter look that was kind of put together.
Yep.
It's also the day before daylight savings time. It was still dark when we woke up, and it was just, yeah.
Yep. And again, I had to get up and look after the bunnies and all that jazz. Like, I love those little guys, but I didn't have to get up an hour earlier in the morning to do their stuff. So,
And we knew we wanted to take, because last time we took the bunnies in, we were supposed to get their vaccinations updated, but Toby was sick, so the vet didn't want to give them a vaccination while they were sick, so now we have to basically restart the set again.
Yep. Because it's your classic 2-shot vaccine where the 2 shots need to be given 3 weeks apart.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, it actually works out kind of well. So they're going in tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Then we've got 2 back-to-back con weekends, and then we've actually got nothing on that the weekend after that.
I'll find something for us.
You'll find something.
Hence this podcast episode.
Yeah, but that's when he needs shot number 2. So that actually worked. The timing on that worked out quite well.
So yeah, I found this one-day anime convention for today that was in Cleveland, but I'm like, well, if we're going to Cleveland, we should go to like our favorite grocery stores and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which we did do, and then we just kind of got there, and I'm like, this is $20 a ticket for an event that really only runs 10 till 5, which is a lot for a one-day con.
Yeah, especially
it only had like one panel thing on it. Looked a bit cash grabby. I'm not going to name it because we didn't go, and I don't want to review it because we weren't there.
Yeah.
But
and again, like because we went to. We can't just say the name Wegmans.
Yeah.
Like, we're not sponsored, but, because we went to Wegmans, which is a 3-hour drive for us, and then, like, because of the side of Cleveland that this convention was going to be on, it was going to be like a 2-hour drive from that.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't have got there until 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So we would have paid $20 a ticket for, like, 3 hours of entertainment. So, like, we weren't feeling it. And that's okay. Like, it's perfectly fine to change your plans because you're just not feeling it.
So this episode is instead going to be Ohio and things around it, basically. Yep. And yeah, it's in part, I think, inspired by the fact that, like, look, the Gen Alpha/Z/whichever freaking one we're on now, meme of Ohio just being a word that's funny. Like, this is the thing, is, like, whenever we, like, go to cons and people like ask who is from Ohio if it's not in the state that's Ohio because that person's also from Ohio, we'll like cheer. And then every single time they make the same joke of, no, you should not cheer, Ohio sucks, over and over again. And, like, I know, like, it's fine to, like, hate the place that you're living and stuff like that, but I really just kind of don't. Like, I don't feel any deep pride about Ohio, and, like, I will admit that we have a lot of people whose politics I don't agree with, but, like, that is true of literally every state in the country.
Yep. Country's a mess.
It's not, if you go anywhere outside of a major city in the country, you're going to find people who are, let's just go with ignorant.
Yep.
It's not any worse here than it is in other states. I've lived in a lot of states. I've lived in like 6 different states.
I've lived in the UK, so, you know.
And like people ask us, particularly you, all the time, why we move and choose to live here. And the real answer to that is my job.
Yep.
And like, look, frankly, as much as the current political climate, I'm sure for a lot of people I do recognize sucks, my university is the safest place within a 50-mile radius for a lot of young people, particularly those who are like gender fluid and stuff like that. And it's important to me to be there to support them as much as I can. Like, it just is. They deserve to have adults in their life that didn't vote a certain way.
Yeah.
And I want to be adults in their life that didn't vote a certain way.
Yeah.
So that's part of why we're here. That said, as, you know, 30-somethings with disposable income, Ohio's not actually a bad place to live, in my opinion.
Nope. Like, again.
It's at least not comparably bad compared to the rest of the U.S. I don't know what you think.
Again, I haven't seen enough of the rest of the U.S. in that regard to, like, I've not lived anywhere else in the U.S. Like, I've been to various places in the U.S. on holiday. Like, I did, my parents and I did, like, Disneyland and Disney World when I was age appropriate to be doing that. By which I mean before they charged me adult prices at the age of 10. So I only really experienced that stuff from the touristy side. But, like, here's the thing. In order to find something interesting to do in Ohio, you do have to be willing to drive a little bit.
Yes.
But that's true of most of the U.S.
And the upside of that is it is generally a bit cheaper, and parking's normally a lot cheaper.
Yep. Yeah, like, again, when we're in the UK, we will go to a city, we will park up, and then we will walk around the city, because that's just how cities are designed and built in the UK.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, like, everything's super spread out. You kind of, like, if we were going to something in Columbus, for example, we can't just park at a random place in Columbus and walk there. The city's just too big. Whereas if we were doing the same in Newcastle, that's viable for most places.
Yeah, and I will say that there is one downside about just living in America generally, outside of, like, maybe New York, is, like, both of you and I love to walk. Like, it's our favorite form of exercise. We don't really... America's not very walkable.
Nope.
That part does suck. But at the same time, there are trade-offs, and you do have to drive, but there is a lot of very interesting stuff and interesting people in Ohio, which is, I think, part of why we started this podcast.
Yeah. Like, again, we have managed to make a podcast about going to events, whether that be cons specifically, whether that be, like, balls, whether that be, we've managed to make it a weekly thing for nearly a year.
Yep.
Like, that clearly shows that there is stuff to do. Like, granted, not all of it's been in Ohio. Some of it's required, like, 5-hour drives or whatever, but, like, there is stuff to do.
Yeah, and our general rule, I think, with driving is 3 is ideal, 4 is okay, 5's pushing it, and then it's very rare for us to do 6.
Yeah, 6 has to be a
very
something we
con.
really want to do.
So we did it, I think, for Pennsylvania Steampunk, we did it. And then we did it pretty recently, I would say, for Colossal Con East, but it was more kind of a random one, which we might go back to that, we might not. It is at a very tricky time of year.
Yes. Like, again, we wouldn't have gone to Colossal Con East if your panel hadn't been accepted.
Yeah. That said, it was a fun experience.
It was. We met some interesting people.
And, like, I'm debating whether or not we're going to go to Chicago for a con over winter. There is a closer one the same weekend. It's just, the Chicago one, I think, has Greygo's game shows. We love Greygo's game shows.
We do.
To pay more.
But it does also, like, Chicago is expensive.
Chicago's expensive. It's, the last time I think we mentioned we went there, they weren't turning the heat on, and it's also, it's not a very navigable city. And as somebody with a disability, I will say cities like New York and Chicago just aren't very disability friendly.
Yeah.
Like, you do get the benefit of, like, no one's going to stare at you strangely. That's cool, no matter how weird you are, which is awesome.
Yep.
But the downside of that is just, like, particularly in New York, every single time I've been in New York, it's like, entering buildings is a very confusing process if you're disabled. Like, it just freaking sucks. And then you like apparently need to tell like people like why you're in the building, but only at some of the buildings and not at other of the buildings. And sometimes there's not even like an obvious place where you're supposed to go to tell the person why you're in the building, even though there's not like a sign. It's very confusing.
Yeah, the other thing about, like cities like that is they do get pricey. Like, again, so my parents are coming to visit for Christmas, which we're looking forward to. The hotel that they've got, they commented to me that, because they're staying in the same place they stayed when they came up from my graduation, like, their comment is, because they're staying there at Christmas rather than, like, May, it's, like, almost twice as expensive. And they're staying for a week, and it's still costing them less than one day did at the hotel they stayed at in New York.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a reality of, city living is expensive.
And I will say our particular location is nice insofar as like New York or Chicago, they're a bit of a drive, but they're doable. And there's a lot of like closer cities, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cleveland, we're all fairly equidistant from, a little bit closer to Columbus, a little bit further from Cleveland and Pittsburgh, but all three of those are drivable for us.
Yeah.
Sure. Smaller cities, easier cost of living, but they still have a lot of stuff on, as indicated by the fact that the three cities I like to go to the most for events.
We also go to Cincinnati, not that uncommonly.
Yeah, so all of those are pretty good cities, and because it is so drivable, it's nice. Whereas if you're somewhere on the West Coast, like Arizona, Nevada area, like you're pretty much kind of just stuck where you are.
Yeah, unless you feel like driving through the desert for multiple hours, which we've actually done.
Yep.
We went to a wedding last year.
Yeah, and we got a car thing to basically car B&B because I was lame and didn't want to like buy. I'm like, I'm not buying that with all the insurance and like tacked on prices. I'm going to use this sketchy app, which we did.
Yeah. It worked fine.
And the car we got was like 20 years old and it needed its brake fluid change.
Yeah, that was great. Every time we took a corner slightly too fast, the car complained that it was running low on brake fluid.
Yeah.
But, it got us there. It got us
there.
Yeah.
I will also say Reno, Nevada has some amazing themed Airbnbs.
Yeah. Yeah, we slept in like really interesting places both nights. Because because it was a wedding in California, but in the top end, we're going off topic. But anyway.
Yeah, what is the topic? I didn't have much arranged. You said you had a plan this time.
Again, we're going to talk about the interesting things that are in Ohio.
Okay. So one thing I would actually talk about in the Airbnb circuit, we don't tend to do this a lot, but they exist in Ohio and everywhere else, and we've thought about doing it a couple times, is themed Airbnbs.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely a thing you can do. They're fun to find and look up. We almost got married at one. Well, we wanted to get married at one.
We did briefly consider having our wedding reception at one.
Yes.
Just because it was cool and different and interesting. But, I asked the person, they basically said, nope, sorry, too large a party. And we said, okay, fair enough.
And they were clear about that on their website. And we wanted to, obviously, keep with the rules and see if there was a possibility for exception. It was a perfectly polite conversation on both ends.
Yep. Like, again. I inquired if it was an option. They said, unfortunately not. And I said, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. And I get that can be zoning and stuff like that. But there's a lot of fun decorated Airbnbs that you can definitely go in and stay in. And I think it's something we always like debate trying more than we're like, nah, we'll just get a place to sleep. We almost got one for Anthrocon.
We did almost get one for Anthrocon. That one, unfortunately, wasn't available for whatever reason.
Yeah. This was like a animal-themed Airbnb, like safari-themed.
Yeah, we were just like, it's Anthrocon. Like, if we get this Airbnb and mention to a couple of the furries that we've got it, we can throw a party without any problems.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning it's currently in Airbnb's terms and conditions that you're not allowed to throw parties. How many hosts care varies wildly.
Yeah. Like, some of them care a lot, some of them don't care.
Well, like, I did my bachelorette party in a themed Airbnb just because it was cheaper than all of the options that anyone was offering me.
Yep.
And that themed Airbnb had a karaoke machine in like a bar and gave you like a free bottle of wine. Like it was clear that they had a garden swing in the upstairs bedroom and like a waterfall thing where you could take pictures next to it. It wasn't expensive and it was very clear that you were intended to have parties there.
Yeah.
Like not massive parties. I think there was about like 10, 15 people at mine.
Yeah.
But
which again, like that I suspect was the size intended.
Yes.
And yeah, when I say, we would have thrown a party, what I mean is we would have invited like 4 or 5 people. Yes.
Yeah. Themed Airbnbs on non-con weekends, maybe we'll do one sometime.
Yeah. Could be fun.
So, other ways you find weird stuff.
Yep. You're the expert on the finding of the weird.
So, Couple things to keep in mind is convention list. So just I'm gonna check the actual URL of this place. I've mentioned it before, but my Bible and first place I go to find conventions is I think fancons.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can search by area and type of convention. And just double check the URL. Yeah, so fancons.com. You can look pretty much anywhere. It has a complete list and convention calendar. Do make sure that you're looking at it regularly because the calendar updates. Like some places will announce their next dates the year after their con, others don't, and some cons pop up all the time. So that's a great starting place. Keep in mind, not every convention uses it. Like for instance, Con Alt Delete and the series of cons that are owned by that organization don't for whatever reason, so it's just not listed there.
Yep.
I'd recommend that they would. So that's a place that you can definitely start looking just for basic conventions. The other thing is just know your search terms and look into places like Eventbrite, Facebook events, pretty much other event type websites. And yes, I know Facebook is for quote unquote old people now, but it's also the only app that actually posts events and times.
Yep.
So know your search terms. Convention is one I use. Sometimes I use costume as a search term. Sometimes I use ball as a search term.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll use LARP as a search term, and they'll do very, very vaguely in terms of how good they are.
Yep.
But they're great at,
Yeah. Fair and festival are also
Yeah.
pretty good, like things to search for in
Festival
that regard.
gives you a lot of stuff you
Yeah.
don't need. And keep in mind, Facebook generally is pretty good at being in your local area, but it will also, like, if you don't put a geographic location, which I don't tend to put a geographic location on just because we're in the middle of nowhere. Two, if you're in a geographic location, it will give you literally only stuff that is in that exact geographic location. So if you're in Columbus, for instance, it will only give you stuff within the city limits of Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be kind of limiting if you're looking in a more broad sense, like we generally are.
Yeah, with that said, like, make sure that you're looking at an event that is somewhere where you can actually get. I remember one time there was an event we saw, thought, oh, that sounds interesting, kind of geared ourselves up to go, and then realized that it was in, where was it?
So it was in Mount Vernon. There is a Mount Vernon, Ohio, and there's a Mount Vernon, New York.
Yes.
I assume because they were showing it to me, it would be Mount Vernon, Ohio, because that's the one I'm used to, and it's not a very commonly named place. Apparently, there's another one in New York.
Yep. And then, yeah, we realized it was actually the one in New York. Now,
Yeah.
Fortunately, we realized that before we got, like, particularly ready and got on the road or anything, but that would have been awkward and really disappointing and annoying and all of that jazz. So just keep an eye on that kind of stuff.
Keep your search terms. Always check location, check times, check dates whenever possible.
Yep.
And check ticket prices, obviously, and how they're selling tickets and
Yes.
stuff like that. Eventbrite is nice because it does have like a map that you can move and like search in a general geographic area. And for both Facebook and Eventbrite, you can set dates and ranges of dates and even particular times if you want to.
Yep.
It helps you kind of find stuff a lot of the time. Keep in mind, obviously, your mileage is going to vary on how good it is or how comfortable you are going to it. But we're people who attend random events. That's how we found the Eyeball a couple years ago.
Yep.
And that's been really fantastic. We've also been to a couple events that I don't think we've talked about in this podcast that have been kind of dead-like, and some ones that are incredibly strange.
Yep.
Like, I'm upset that Pig LARP, I don't think is happening again.
Yeah, Pig LARP was great.
It was great. It's effectively what it sounds like by the Pittsburgh Squealers, who are a charity rescue pig organization that, if you want to support an animal group, they're a great one to pick.
Yep.
That said, they did, I think, there was a goat LARP that took place in New York where basically it's an excuse to play with goats and like pretend to LARP. It's mostly playing with the goats.
Yep.
And Pittsburgh Squealers started and decided to do Pig LARP. So they did once. It was a very big hit event. It was fantastic. I was also exhausted by the end of the day.
Yeah.
My body was actively aching because we were just running around. And they had a Pig LARP, and then they had a little murder mystery theme thing.
Yep.
With one of the pigs helping.
Yeah. Helping is a very strong word in this context.
Well, like all the people were out doing the murder mystery thing, which just took place in one of the barns, and like most of the pigs just stayed in their pens for the barns, but they could get out.
Mm-hmm.
This one pig just came over and decided because we were in a huddle, they should also be in the huddle.
It was great.
And he kept shoving, because how pigs check to see if things moves is just by like shoving their bodies into it to see if it'll move.
Yep.
So he kept shoving his body into our feet.
Yep. Just trying to see if he could get past.
Mm-hmm.
It was very sweet.
Yep.
We also found like one of the pigs there was so ugly it kind of circled around to being cute again.
Yep.
Because basically it had a birth defect where like its face was kind of smushed up against the inside of the womb.
Yeah, keep in mind because again, pigs are normally bred for food now. Mother pigs effectively, because the babies are so big, can't move. So this baby was I think, shoved up against the side of its mother while it developed, so part of its face was just kind of squashed.
Yep.
And it had a little bit of trouble breathing, but it was very, very cute.
Yeah. So yeah, so Piglarp. That was weird. That was fun.
Yep.
Sad they don't seem to have done it again, but you know.
And they also do, if you are interested in just visiting the rescue and playing with pigs, they do like pig yoga and a few other like things.
Yeah.
Or events or like barbecues and stuff like that. And when I say barbecue, I want to emphasize there is no work. Yeah, it's a very vegetarian friendly event. Like it's barbecue in the sense that like it's outdoor grilling, but it's all vegetable and vegetarian, which is great. Yeah, Piglarp also came with dinner, which was nice.
Yeah, it did. It wasn't the most amazing food, but it was perfectly pleasant.
Yeah. And keep in mind with some smaller events, particularly if you're finding them randomly off the internet, there is a chance they'll be the only person there who doesn't know anyone.
Yes, we've had that happen before.
Piglarp was like that.
Yeah.
And I think the Eyeball was also like that.
Yeah.
That said, generally people are happy to have you. So.
Generally. Sometimes you'll find an event where they're kind of confused by the fact that people they don't know have turned up. The Titanic dinner that we've mentioned previously on this podcast was kind of like that. Like, we got put on the table with the people who, like, clearly weren't the in-group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whereas, like, a lot of other groups are just happy to have new people turn up, so.
Yeah, and that is kind of a mileage may vary thing. That said, like, we did ask for our money back of that event, and they did grant it.
Yeah.
It was back when paying $120 for 2 people was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I would recommend in terms of setting events. One, keep in mind that particularly with Facebook, a lot of events that are technically private have like public information because people don't understand how to set events to private.
Yep.
Because it's defaulted to public, so some people just don't set it to private.
Yeah, the number of times we've just like seen a quote unquote public event that's just some person's birthday party.
Yeah.
And it's like, technically you're inviting us, but at the same time, we're not going to just crash around a person's birthday party.
I would totally crash a random person's birthday party. I've done more than that. Like, I found people's birthday parties, and because it has their last name, I'll find out that they, like, won a bowling trophy in, like, 1985, and then I'll go on eBay and find that exact bowling trophy. I'm like, I could show up to this party with this bowling trophy, and it'd be creepy as heck, but also kind of impressive.
I'm glad you don't actually, like, follow through on those.
That's the reason we started going to furry cons, was to stop me from doing crap like that.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah. Keep in mind, in addition to that, like, what your comfort levels are. Like, believe it or not, there are events that will mostly make me say no to, just because they seem to be a little bit too beyond
sketchy.
What our current limits are.
Yep.
And what those limits are can be different things. For some people, it's how, like, not safe for work the event is. For some people, it might be number of people. For some people, it might just be you're not comfortable driving that far. Have things like cost in mind. Check how much the tickets are. Check if you're comfortable buying the tickets in advance or would prefer to buy them day of.
Yep.
And just check willingness generally with your partner. Also, I do generally try to cross-reference stuff. So if you see something on Facebook, it's best to Google it to see if they have, like, an official website or anything like that. Sometimes they link it, sometimes they won't.
Yep.
Like with the Pittsburgh Squealers event, I checked and they were a legitimate rescue and stuff like that, and that can sometimes help, like, verify stuff. It's pretty rare to just encounter a straight up scam where people are trying to take your money. The more common way people scam you is just by, on Facebook, I think it's just a bot that does this. They'll say they have tickets to the event that they need to resell, which is generally don't buy resale tickets for these types of events. There's no reason to.
Yeah.
And it's just an excuse to scam people out of money.
Yeah, like, generally speaking, if people have tickets to an event like that they can't use, they just, they'll just eat the money.
They generally don't go. And a lot of these events aren't even that expensive, so scamming people is quite silly.
Yeah. But, again, this is the old cast a wide enough net and you'll catch enough fish kind of technique of scamming, where it's like, yeah, they're only making like $20 off each, fraudulent sale, but, you snag 50 people and, oh, look, you've, made, $1,000. Like, it's scummy, but,
And if you're extra, like me, you should have a spreadsheet that links all of these events and where you can buy tickets, because sometimes it's hard to find a website, and you can kind of compete about what you want to do these various weekends a lot of the time.
Yep.
Also, again, think about when you want to buy tickets. Some stuff, particularly cons, the earlier you buy tickets, typically the lower you're paying. The risk with that is, again, the tickets are typically non-refundable, so if you wind up getting sick that weekend, you're just kind of out of luck. I know some cons do still, if you test positive for COVID, will still refund you that. A lot can't do that just because for whatever reason nonprofits can't refund stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And most cons are nonprofits. It's some weird law. They've all echoed it though, so I do think the law is quite legitimate.
Yeah. And again, the other thing to keep in mind is just frequently the cons that will like do those sales are often some of the big ones. Like GalaxyCon goes big into their whole like, oh, the weekend's almost over, but you can book your tickets for next year now.
Yep.
And yeah, granted, you will get the best price, but you are going to be riding the con high at that point, so you don't necessarily know what's going to be going on a year from now. And just again, think about it. Err on the side of caution.
Another place you can look is most cons actually do have other cons there advertising their con.
Yep.
So you can go around and look at what booths are there and see what stuff is available. A lot of them will have like little spinny wheels where, for the most part, you can get small prizes like Mind of Toys or sticky things or stuff like that.
Yep.
If you just sit and listen to them talk about the con and let you spin the wheel, which is cute, or like a pencil with the con's name on it. A few sometimes let you win free tickets. That's pretty rare though, which I get.
Yep.
And sometimes they'll also give you a discount if you sign up for the con at their booth.
Yes. Which again, not a guaranteed thing, but it's not that uncommon.
Just don't go up to them and start talking to them about their con drama at their current con. Like, just don't. The booth workers are volunteers who are not involved in that.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen multiple times for multiple cons. And I'm just like, leave the booth workers alone.
Yeah.
They're not in charge of this.
They don't. It's unusual for a booth worker, unless it's a very small con. Like, I know some of the steampunk cons, the people who run the con are also the people who run the booths.
Yeah.
Purely because they're quite small. But if it's a 10,000 guest anime con, the booth workers are not the people who run the con.
Another place you can look if you do like a certain con is some cons will have like smaller different projects. Like Con Alt Delete is actually part of a number of cons. They're a bit too far west for us to really attend any of them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually several that are all involved, like Anime Zap is one. Similarly, with Techo, they have the Sengawa project, and they also do a bunch of smaller events throughout the year just to kind of entertain people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you like a certain con, it can be useful to like look to see what other stuff they're putting on during the year.
Yeah, see if they've got any affiliated things. So again, like Techo and the Sangawa, like it says something that when we were at the Sangawa project, a lot of people asked us if we were going to come to Techo that year, because again, like they liked us there and they wanted us to come to the bigger event.
Yeah. And as to knowing what events you'll like, and you pretty much have to go and try, I think, for the most part. Like, obviously, if you know you don't like something, you don't necessarily have to go. But I will, again, say the fun for us with cons is never pretty much, at least for me, a little bit less with you. Like, the theme of the con really does not matter that much to me.
Yeah. Like, I enjoy certain types of cons generally more than others, but that's... So here's the thing. Steampunk cons I really like, but that's less about enjoying steampunk and more just the vibe of the people.
And like Techo and Sengawa Project have amazing people. So I just kind of adore them generally.
Yeah. Board game cons tend to be the one that I kind of like enjoy the specific thing the con is about the most. But that's just because like I like playing TTRPGs with people, and like having the opportunity to just have a space provided where I can do that is great.
Yeah. And yeah, I do notice this. We've talked about it quite a lot on the podcast. Is there's very little con crossover generally.
Like there's a little, but nowhere near as much as you would think.
Yeah. Like sometimes, particularly if it's in the same city, you'll see some of the same people. But for a lot of it, you don't. Like a lot of people stay in their little niches these days, which I think are lame.
Yep.
And then generally the bigger cons, which claim to be all fandoms, so like your Galaxies or your Fan Expos in our area, tend to just have people who don't go to any other con.
Yep.
They just go to that one to get autographs, and then they're done.
Yep. Autographs and like Christmas presents and the like.
Yeah.
Like there are plenty of people who will basically do one con a year, spend a couple of $100 in the vendors hall, and then they're done for the year, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I think keep in mind when you're finding events is try to budget and try to think about how you're going to plan your time. Like obviously, we try to do every weekend pretty consistently because I hate staying at home. I realize I have higher energy than most other human beings on the planet.
Especially me.
You still go along though.
Yeah, I do.
So yeah, think about like how often you would want to be away from home, how much you want to spend on one trip to just go all out versus like a bunch of other trips.
Yeah.
Think about where you're staying, obviously, for stuff like that.
And the other thing to keep in mind is a event like this, especially if it's a multi-day event, is it practical to drive back and forth? Because like an hour drive each day sounds like a lot, but it's also going to be cheaper than getting an Airbnb or a hotel room or whatever.
Yeah.
So it might be a better option to just go back and forth. I'm going to be honest, sleeping in your own bed is just kind of nicer than sleeping in a hotel.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, I'm definitely of the age where I do know that, like, particularly with my disability and stuff, I will have more fun at a con if I'm well rested. I've gotten better at sleeping at Airbnbs than I think I was a year ago. Dokido, that New Year's con, I was definitely grumpy at just because I was not sleeping enough.
Yeah.
And I liked that con.
Well, again, it says something that for a Catacon next week, the Airbnb we booked is one we've stayed in before, and we know is fine.
Yeah.
It's not the best Airbnb we've stayed at, but it's fine.
And Dayton is one that's borderline for us to go back and forth for. It's just like one of those things where it's just like, if we did that, because we're running games at 9, we would have to get up at like 5.
Yep.
And I just don't think we want to do that.
No, again, it's better and easier for us to get an Airbnb for that one. And again, like sometimes that's a judgment call. Like Fan Expo, the first 2 years we got Airbnbs for, and we stayed local. Whereas this year we did it as a back and forth drive, and it's 2 hours, so it's a lot. But we decided that because like Fan Expo closes pretty early.
Yeah, generally their stuff's ending by like 6 to 8 p.m.
Yeah, like that's one that like there's no late night stuff we want to stay for. We can drive back without feeling particularly bad about it.
It is also worth noting if it's an alcoholic event, think about how you're getting home.
Yes.
Or to wherever you need
or
to go.
Wherever you're staying. Like if you are staying at an on-site hotel, like if it's a convention center that has a hotel on site and you're staying at that, you don't have to worry about driving home. Have fun. If you're staying 20 minutes away by car, you're either staying sober or you've got a designated driver.
Or you're getting an Uber.
Or you're getting an Uber.
Or taxi.
Uber, taxi.
Taxis
whatever.
and Ubers effectively cost the same these days, so go with whatever one.
Yep.
But obviously, I would recommend checking the area to make sure they have taxis and Ubers if you're doing that. Because we generally do stay on Airbnbs just because they are generally cheaper, in addition to my disability, than connecting hotels.
Yep.
And you can get a themed one if you want.
Yep.
And you can kind of have like a party away from the party if you want to. So.
Yeah, which again, it's nice because again, we don't tend to go for super late night stuff at cons, partially because it frequently just kind of doesn't appeal to us.
Like it devolves mostly into like drinking, and drinking with like people who like share a common interest with you is fun, but alcohol kills me faster than kills most people.
Yep, and I usually have to drive.
Yep.
So.
Because I'm in a ball gown.
Yep. So be aware of your limitations in that regard.
I will say, well, PAFWA next year, if we go, I might try.
Okay.
Because for me, at least, I do need to like be at a con for a bit to like feel comfortable in the space. But PAFWA is basically just an outdoor event where you eat and drink. So.
Yeah. And again, we can always get the kind of tickets that get you a drink token and stuff like that. I'm curious, what would you even drink if you drank? Because anyway.
It's not that type of podcast.
Yeah, this is very true. So, my brain has gone blank. So the other thing that I think is there much else we want to say about like finding events?
Those are kind of the main things. Know your search terms, know what you're looking for. Obviously, word of mouth is also great in terms of finding things.
Yep.
Facebook also, just because the algorithm knows that I like events, will recommend stuff to me. Keep in mind, it's going to be recommending me stuff that is paying for advertising, which tends to be a little bit more expensive.
Yep.
And also, know what price of things you want to do. We talked a little bit about, I think when we were attending the Phoenix Ball, that I don't find the ball experience where tickets are over $100 to attend a ball to be really worth it. Because it's a lot less entertaining than a con. Con will also have balls. They generally do have food, but it's generally not quality food, and it's just kind of not worth it to me as an event experience to effectively attend a dance to pay that much.
Yeah. It
might be worth it to you if that's something you really, really love and love getting dressed up. But
again, it's about knowing your own budget and knowing what things are worth to you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, classic example, video games. There are plenty of people who will happily pay day one prices, and these days, generally, I don't. I can't remember the last time I paid full price for a game, just because I don't have enough time to play the games I already have. So generally, I will pick stuff up when it's on sale because there's nothing I'm super desperate to play immediately. And again, your personal mileage on that may vary.
And I will say, if it's in your price range and you want to go, but you're kind of nervous to go, just go.
Yeah.
Worst thing that happens is you wasted a bit of money.
Yeah.
Like, I highly recommend you go with friends. I will admit a lot of the fun of cons is going together. But if you don't have friends, well, one, you can, if you are listening to this and you're going to be an event that we're at, you can totally meet up with us.
Oh yeah, we will absolutely be your friends.
Yes. But if you don't, like, you can maybe also follow somebody on social media. Like, don't stalk them or anything. But if you know there's somebody on social media that is going to that event, just because, like, sometimes if you look for the hashtag on Instagram or TikTok or any of your, like, favorite social media apps, you'll typically find people who are, like, getting ready for the event or doing other things to, like, prepare for the event for their social media post.
Yep.
Like, don't stalk them. Don't be weird. Don't try to date them. But you can go up and, like, say hi. Hey, I love your Facebook post. And maybe, like, have a conversation with them about the event. What do you recommend? What do you want to do? Stuff like that.
Yep.
Politely and platonically.
Yeah.
You can definitely do that. And most, like, smaller influencers, I do think, obviously want you to follow their Instagram or TikTok or whatever they're doing. And they would probably be happy that you saw the TikToker thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're always happy when we see somebody who's, like, heard the podcast.
Oh yeah, we are super happy anytime somebody, like, recognizes us. It's great. So yeah. So the other thing I kind of wanted to talk about on this episode was just, like, so there's not an event you want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
What are places that are just there constantly in Ohio that are actually well worth going to?
Yep.
That are, like, so here's the thing. We could list the obvious tourist stuff.
Yeah.
But we'd rather list the weird stuff.
Yeah, it's stuff we like.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with a very obvious one for us.
Which one?
The Sign Museum.
I was thinking you were going to start with Otherworld.
I was strongly also concerned. Otherworld is the other obvious one I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
But I might as well start with the Sign Museum.
Okay.
So if you're in Cincinnati or near to Cincinnati and you've never been to the American Sign Museum, you should fix that.
Mm-hmm.
The American Sign Museum is what it sounds like. It's a museum of neon signage. And actually, some of that stuff is older than neon, but you know, it's all like, it's light up signage, and it's like, here's the thing, it all works.
Mm-hmm.
If they've got it on display, that's because it still works. Or a lot of them, they've had to do quite considerable restoration work on to get them to work again. But you know, they replace damaged bulbs and things with as authentic as they can manage.
Mm-hmm.
There's one sign, for example, that originally had one type of bulb, later on was modified to use a different kind of bulb, and when they restored it, they did one side of it with the original bulbs and one side with the new bulbs, and it's kind of fascinating seeing the difference between the two.
Yeah.
But we should probably explain the reason why we have such particular nostalgia for this place.
So this is when I was, like, desperately looking for a wedding reception venue that wasn't just a hall, because I didn't want an event that was just, like, you know, a generic wedding hall in, like, a church or an event center. Like, that was boring as heck to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that explains how I got into that Airbnb, who wouldn't let us host there. Again, not on them. I understand that policy. They're very polite.
Yep.
And then eventually I was just Googling, like, weird museums in Ohio, and the American Sign Museum came up. And I'm like, wow, this looks amazing. This was also after we already called Otherworld, which we'll talk about in a second, and they quoted us $30,000.
Yes.
I will say Otherworld is a bit overpriced.
It is.
The American Sign Museum is not just because of that, but generally.
So the one thing I will say about the American Sign Museum is if you're just going for one day, it's a little expensive.
It's $15.
Yeah, it's 20.
Okay.
A ticket, which
It is a little expensive for what it is.
Yeah.
But you do only really need to go once to see everything. It's not that big of a museum.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, again, because we have such nostalgia, we've got memberships. I actually renewed them earlier this week.
Yep.
And a membership gets you in as many times as you want throughout the year, and those aren't expensive.
Yeah. And I will say also as a place to host an event, I'm not going to say exactly what it costs, but I will say that
It was very reasonable.
it was very reasonable, and it was pretty much almost the exact same amount of us, just the plane tickets for us to travel to the UK and back round trip. On days where I looked for the cheapest available price for us to do that.
Yes.
So yeah, it might have gone up a little bit since then, because they have expanded the museum since we actually rented it out. But
Yeah, the museum is now bigger.
it was pretty reasonable. That was for a Sunday night. That I do think that was a pretty reasonable price. For
Oh,
us.
I was happy with it. And again, like, it's...
It also comes pre-decorated, and I hate wedding decorating, so I didn't have to do anything.
Yep. Like, again, the museum itself was the showpiece in that regard. And, like, we had people wandering around and just kind of looking at stuff. And there were a whole bunch of people at our wedding who clearly hadn't researched what it was before they turned up to the wedding, who were just really kind of blown away by it.
Yep.
So yeah, the American Sign Museum is fantastic. Yeah, we absolutely recommend you go. They do events where they sort of like show off glass blowing techniques and stuff like that are used to make the tubes for neon signs.
Yeah, and they also did a really great, like very fun event for Pride last year where they had a giant wedding reception for pretty much all of the couples who had been getting married there that you could sign up for, and you could like renew your vows. And even if you hadn't gotten married there, you could have renewed your vows like all at once.
Yep.
Which was very cool. We didn't wind up going to that just because I think it was the same weekend as one of the steampunk cons or Colossal Con. I think it was in May at some point, but like it's cool that they did that, and it's cool that they support all types of marriage because they do get a lot of gay weddings there, which is awesome.
Which is valid. So yeah, like American Sign Museum, it's not too expensive. It's pretty cool. It's again, if you're in the Cincinnati area, you should check it out.
Yeah, and if you are in the Cincinnati area, just get a membership. You can walk through as much as you want. It doesn't take that long to go through. We typically go and stay for about 30 minutes because we just have a membership.
Yep.
And like most memberships, if you go more than once, it's
paid for itself. Yeah. Again, granted, we've got the cheap memberships because if you are an educator or a student, you can get a cheaper membership. And again, like we both work in education, so we get the education membership.
We also did get to attend for free while we were wedding planning, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Because they give you a tour of the space when you're deciding if you want it for your venue.
Yep.
And we did that a couple times just to talk through stuff. So.
Yeah, and again, like I cannot speak highly enough for like the process of doing stuff with
their wedding venues and event planners are extremely good and very helpful.
Yep. They checked into what we needed. They when the caterers decided they weren't going to deliver the food, despite the fact we paid for them to deliver the food, they sorted that for us without us having to deal with it. And that was super nice. So yeah.
Yeah, with any, like, if you are doing it for your wedding, not that this is, like, what you would be doing, like, with any wedding contract, just make sure you're reading through the terms and conditions to make sure you're all on the same page, but theirs were pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
We did have to use one of their select caterers, but they had stuff at every price point, so.
Yeah. Yeah, there was 10 options, something like that.
Yeah, there are 10 options varying from, like, cheaper, which I think is what we wound up getting, to expensive, so.
But yeah. So that was the Sign Museum. The other one that we did mention there is Otherworld.
Mm-hmm.
So Otherworld is in Columbus.
Yes.
And Otherworld is weird.
It's significantly bigger. It's basically a collaborative and interactive art piece where it's done by a lot of local colloquial Columbus artists. I don't know how to describe it other than weird.
So it's built in what I think used to be a mall.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using up a pretty decent chunk of space for effectively like an interactive living art exhibit.
Yep.
And it's themed around a like dimensional tear.
Yep.
So the idea is like other dimensions bleeding into our reality. So like I say the first part. The thing is, it's not built in like a linear fashion where you have to go through it in a certain order. You just kind of explore the space and find weird stuff.
Yeah, and there's like some like in-game or in-universe things you can do or puzzles you can kind of try to solve.
Mm-hmm.
It's not intuitive.
Nope.
Like I think we've been there a bunch. We've only solved like half the puzzles.
If that.
Yeah.
Probably not even close.
And new puzzles have been built since then. It pretty much does change every couple months because new artists add stuff all the time.
Yep. But like it's very, very weird, very, very fun, and very, very interesting.
Now it is $40 a person to go.
Yes, which is a little pricey. Like we've freely admitted in the past, like we would love it if they had a season pass or a membership.
Yeah, they do have an expansion in Philadelphia that we've not been to. That one suspect is smaller and does have a season pass you can get.
Yeah.
It's also something for which if you go on the weekends, it's going to be extremely crowded with children.
Yes. Whereas if you go like
we really recommend going on a weekday night.
Yeah, after work on a weekday, it's pretty quiet.
Yep.
Like it's not dead, but it's usually quiet.
It's quiet enough that sometimes you'll typically have the rooms to yourself and be able to like play with all the stuff in the rooms without having to like wait your turn.
Yeah, and just kind of really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's a music room with a bunch of like, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to like give you all the mysteries.
Yeah, that's fair. But
there's a music room where you can change records. Let's say that.
Which is fun.
There's like whale you can crawl into.
Yep.
There's screens where you can nest with people in other rooms. It's an incredibly fun experience. Like, it's definitely worth going at least once, even at the ticket prices. But I think our only major complaint is we really do wish that they had a season pass that just like had blackout dates on it. Like, we would be perfectly happy with the season pass. It's just like you can only go on like Monday through Fridays when there's not special events.
Yeah. Like again, there are things we wish they had that they don't, but like again, Otherworld generally it's well worth going for a day. Again, especially if you've got kids, they'll love all the like tactile stuff they can play with, and like, there's so much stuff they can touch and like reactive things and like holes and mirrors and that kind of stuff. Like it's very, very weird, very, very interesting. And if you've got like slightly weird clothing, it's a good place to wear it.
Yeah. And they allow for photos and costumes and all stuff like that. And sometimes events in Columbus, well, they've stopped doing it kind of recently, allows for like cosplay nights at Otherworld where like the cosplayers from like GalaxyCon or something like that go to Otherworld. Like, keep in mind, you still have to pay to go to Otherworld. It's an add-on thing where you can be at Otherworld with other cosplayers and take photos. Yeah. But keep in mind, you can do that at literally any time anyway.
Yes.
So you don't really need to go to that particular event to do that.
It's just at that time there will be a bunch of other people who are also doing the same thing.
Yes, so that appeals to you. It's cool to do if you want to do like group photos or something like that.
So yeah, as I say, we did contact Otherworld potentially to have them as our wedding reception venue.
I think the cheapest package they offer was like after 8 p.m. for like 3 hours on a Sunday for like $1,500.
I think it was about 18.
Yeah, and we were just like, we can't.
We can't justify that.
We can't. Like, some people can.
Yeah.
You are the type of person who can.
Great. And again, I think with hindsight, Otherworld would have been too big for the number of people who are at our wedding.
I don't think, if we were independently wealthy, I would have done it because it is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But we're not in that tax bracket, and that's okay. I also do think that again, because the times we wanted to rent it were times where maybe like 5 people were coming in. There's no way they were making that money back. It was a Monday, and we know how many people go into that place on a Monday. Like, it was just a little bit like...
It felt a bit scuzzy for them to be asking that much. Like,
and
I get it.
We do respect artists, and we do think artists should be compensated fairly for their work. It's just because this is a like live display for everyone to interact with. When it's stuff like that, where the art is like effectively public, I do think you should be a little bit more reasonable about your pricing than they currently are.
Yeah. But again, like it's still a place that we have gone back to multiple times since, and again, it does keep changing and updating.
Yeah, since the pandemic, and we didn't go before the pandemic because we didn't move to Ohio until the pandemic.
Yep.
They do have
America until after the pandemic.
Yeah. They do have an online ticketing system where you can like go and like book a time slot when you're arriving, which I think can theoretically sell out on weekends. But typically, if you go weekdays, don't.
Yeah.
And like half the times we've gone, just because it's been a weekday, we've effectively just bought the next ticket slot, which is the time we arrived in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And they didn't care.
And they didn't care.
So
yeah, I think you do actually have to technically buy your tickets in advance, but like if it's on a quiet time, in advance can be in the parking lot. Yeah. Once you get there.
If you're going on a Saturday, you probably do need to actually book a time slot because I do think they cap tickets a little bit.
I think they do, which is probably a good call because I suspect it gets a little crowded. Especially around certain times of year. Like it's definitely the kind of place it will be fun to go to a Halloween event at.
Yeah, and they do also do concerts various times a year with like various EDM music and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, that's Otherworld.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anywhere else obvious we want to talk about?
Well, did you want to talk about places that were not obvious? I'm not sure what the transition is here.
Insofar as like obvious to us that we want to talk about.
So we're not going to mention places like the zoo or the art museum because you know about those.
Yeah.
Oh, they are cool.
They are cool. And again, sometimes it's fun. Yeah. I'm trying to think, where else do we sort of have as standard like go-to options?
Like a lot of the places we go are too specific to us, like grocery stores or Seasons, which is just a restaurant we like.
Yeah. There is where we went today, which is Round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, if you've not been to Round 1, I would recommend it because it's your classic arcade, but it pays out a lot more than your standard arcade.
Yeah, it seems to still be a little bit reasonably weighted, and trips may vary, but for the most part, the claw machines pay out like every 1 out of 10 times or so, which is higher than a lot of places.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I will also say that the workers in round one, we've had them just straight up give us stuff before.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah, where it's just like, yeah, I've seen you guys like play this machine for quite a while, and it should have paid out by now. So here you go.
There's one where we're just trying a game once, and they just like open the thing and like, do not ask them to do that.
No.
But they might volunteer to do that.
Yeah. And again, like, because the other thing that round one has that a lot of other arcades don't is they have the Japanese style claw machines.
Yeah, which involve like pushing stuff or sometimes moving a car or things like that. They actually are easier to win if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But the key with them is you can't use them like a standard claw machine, particularly for the push ones. People try to pick the toy up. That's not what they're designed to do.
Yeah, they're designed so you kind of like poke the toy at various points and angles to like cause it to tilt on the thing it's sitting on and fall down the gap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which again are to us more fun because it feels a little more skillful, and two, you can feel like you're making progress.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, this thing's kind of bad. You know, this thing's balanced. You know, if we push it here, and okay, it's tipping now. So if we like push it one more time here, it will probably fall. It's that kind of thing, as opposed to just a claw machine where it's a case of, oh, it picked it up and it dropped it.
Well, that didn't last long.
But
oh, again, I was just like, I wonder if that like candy museum thing is still open, because that was open like a year ago, and I kind of wanted to go like I think a year ago. It apparently closed already.
That didn't last long.
No, that was clear. A lot of museums are like that, where they're clearly photo things. So
yeah.
So any other places?
Again, those are kind of like the big three that we go to semi-regularly. You know, again, other than like, there are some good restaurants in Ohio. There are plenty of like interesting, you know, museums and things to visit. And again, like, the trick is to find the things that make you personally happy.
Yeah, I just googled unusual things to do in Ohio, and the picture is the American Sign Museum.
Sweet, good for them.
I'm happy that's the like #1 weird thing to do in Ohio.
Good for them. They deserve it. You know, and again, like, you get plenty of festivals and craft fairs and all of that kind of jazz. Like, everybody has their own equivalent of the weird thing that makes them
I have a
happy.
weird thing that you can do in Ohio around Christmas time.
Okay.
We should take a detour to see it today.
No, we are not. We don't even know if it's still there.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Ask Santa.
Oh, I was talking about Cambridge.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I want to emphasize, like, look, this is the other issue with Ohio that I do feel like we need to openly acknowledge. There are some places in Ohio where people are a bit ignorant. Typically, if you go to a small town, events will be, I'm going to say sometimes they make me politically uncomfortable.
Yep.
That's the reality.
That's happened to us sometimes.
Yeah. And I also want to recognize that as a white person, I'm privileged in some respects.
Yep.
But even you, as just an immigrant person, have had very ignorant things said to you.
Yep. I have had many, like, because again, like, the immigration process is a pain in the neck. And, like, people will sometimes ask me how I'm doing, and I'll mention the fact that, like, you know, oh, I've been working through this process, it's a lot of paperwork, all of that jazz. The number of times I've had somebody say to me, oh, you should have just come across the southern border, then it would have been easy. And I'm like, no, it would not.
And then you just say that, and they kind of don't know what to say after that, which is nice.
Yeah, like, I have actually, like, spent 20 minutes talking to somebody before about, like, how complex that process would have been if I'd done it that way. And how much worse it would have been, and like they genuinely don't realize how complex the process is.
This is unfortunately the reality of a lot of small town Ohio. Is it's very people who've lived in the area for a long time and seem to have very backwards. They're not. If they ever met a person, would be quite nice to them, but just hasn't, and is convinced that this is a problem, despite the fact that it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's something you do have to be aware of if you have a minority identity or a trans, and I recognize that.
Yeah.
That said, sometimes it is just fun visiting the small town to kind of make fun of their Christmas traditions.
Yeah. Because again, like, here's the thing. When we say make fun of, we just mean, like, mock in a loving way.
Yes.
Because, like, plenty of small towns have weird traditions. Like, again, I come from Durham. Like,
you have the Miners Gala.
Yeah, we have the Miners Gala. A gala that has no start time or start location. It just kind of sort of happens on a specific day. Part of it involves a band marching through, and where they are supposed to meet up is very, very vague.
Yeah, the parade just kind of happens.
Yeah,
Like, I was trying to look up information on it when we were in Durham, and the thing that it said is the Durham Miners Gala can be difficult for foreigners to attend as it has no set start time or end time. And I'm like, this is not helpful at all.
nope. You just kind of turn up and it happens.
Yep.
So yeah, like, again, that's what happens when you ask miners to organize everything. And for the record, when I say miners, I mean people who dig underground for stuff, rather than miners as in children, just to clarify.
So yeah. So Jensbridge and James won't listen to this episode because it's not saying anything important to them. So I say we should invite them to Cambridge and just not tell them.
The trouble is we want to see their reactions.
Well, like, this is the thing, is like no one told us before we encountered them.
Ooh, you know who we should AK.
Oh yeah.
New
I think
professor.
AK's been warned already though.
Dang it. Who spoiled the surprise?
Probably half the people there.
Yeah.
So we probably should back this. So Cambridge is a town next to us, like a lot of small towns in Ohio, has a bit of a history and is proud of it. That history is thankfully not racism, so that's good.
Yep.
That said most people in the town. And there is also a Democrat's office on Main Street, so that's
Yep.
good.
Directly across the street from the Republicans' office.
But they're both there.
Yep.
That's good. And they're not, like, bombed.
Yeah, nobody's burned anything down yet, so, you know, I'll call that a win.
There's also a lot of antique shops.
Yes. Like a lot of them. Like half the streets on the high street are thrift and or antique shops.
Who, like, threaten to shoot shoplifters.
Yeah. We think they're mostly joking about that.
Probably.
Mostly.
So anyway, there's a historical society in Cambridge, which is next to the theater that puts on productions that are exclusively done by children, which is great.
Yep.
And next to the theater, and we went in one time, and they were very taken by the fact that you were English,
Obviously.
and we got to learn about this great tradition that we had already experienced by sight.
Yep.
Which is apparently a while ago.
Yep. Somebody decided that it would be a really nice thing for them to have like a bunch of statues at Christmas. You know, that are,
Victorian-esque people who are all white except one person.
again, very Dickensian coded would be
Yeah.
the best way to describe it.
And like, I think that's more just they didn't think to include people of color than anything else, because
Yeah.
it's probably representing the population of the town, which doesn't have people of color.
Yep.
But in some ways, I'm kind of grateful. Actually, in a lot of ways, I'm grateful.
Yeah. So the thing you need to understand about these statues is they're all waxworks.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with waxworks. Like, they are a perfectly fine and reasonable method of...
Well, they're
Yep.
wax that's painted.
Yes. Yeah, and again, like, nothing wrong with waxworks. I don't have a problem with waxworks. The main issue is I don't know where these statues are stored over the summer.
But it is not climate controlled.
It does not appear to be as climate controlled as it needs to be, which means all of the waxworks are just slightly melty.
Yeah.
Which means they're all horrifying.
Yeah, they look awful.
They look creepy as heck.
Like, you know how creepy, like, the Greek statues are once you, like, paint them? It's even more creepy than that.
Yeah.
And the best part is the town seems to, like, have noticed, because this happens so gradually that they just can't tell.
Yep.
So, like, keep in mind, you can, like, sit next to the bench, or these statues on benches around town, and people are just doing that, and it's just, to anyone who's not from that town, it is the most horrifying experience ever.
Yep. They look like they want to eat your souls.
Yes.
Like, they're not even auton creepy. It's just kind of worse than that somehow.
And, like, a specific set of, I think, Christian people who really love Christmas, like, go on a pilgrimage to see these things every year.
Yep.
Which is cool. But as somebody who, like, you know, is not in that subsection of the population, it's just kind of horrifying to watch.
Again, I remember last year I had to drive to Cambridge to get your medication for you. And I just remember sitting in the CVS parking lot and just texting you, oh God, they're out. And again, I think today's they normally put them out towards the beginning of November, so there's a decent chance that they put them out today.
Just good, because the Halloween thing is still going. They also have a light show on the town, like,
Yep, on the town hall.
on the town hall, basically. They have a Halloween one, too. It's basically just effectively a light show where you can, like, tune into,
A musical broadcast.
yeah, on the radio station that typically also has children singing on it.
Yep. And then they like sync the lights up to the music, and it's actually kind of fun.
It is, and you can watch from your car, which is nice.
Yeah, because it's frequently too cold to watch outside.
Yes.
But again, like, it's a small town doing weird stuff that they love, and I can respect that.
I respect it too.
Like, again, we mock the statues for being terrifying.
They are
but
terrifying.
They are very terrifying.
But it is worth going to see, like if you're just looking for something to do.
Yep, just drive through Cambridge, Ohio.
The thing is, some people love it, and that's great.
And the thing is, there are, like, most small towns will have their own equivalent of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for some it's a bigger thing, for some it's a smaller thing. Like, again, our town doesn't really have an equivalent, but, like, it does have, we do the Christmas parade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we watched that the first year I was here. It was freezing, but it was fun. You know, and again, like, it's... Ultimately, anybody who tells you there's nothing to do in Ohio isn't looking hard enough.
Yeah.
And that's true of a decent chunk of America.
Yeah.
Like, there might not be a specific thing you want to do that exact weekend, but there's probably something weird and different that you've never tried before that's going to be fun. Like, again, we had a free weekend where we weren't planning anything. We decided, why not? We'll try this furry con. What's the worst that can happen? And now we're, you know, like, tangentially members of the furry community. You know, again, it's... Life is more interesting when you try things. And again, you'll find stuff that doesn't work or wasn't for you or kind of sucks, but...
Or was boring or whatever else. But you'll get a better sense of what you like and what you don't like the more you go out and do. This is why I also think the introvert-extrovert spectrum is just like... Because I'm shy, but I am also, like, not introverted in the sense that I like staying at home at all.
You start climbing the walls.
Yep. Like, I was having that effect, I think, yesterday, where it was just, like, after work, and it was Halloween, and it was like, it's been a couple weeks since we've been to, like, a con. I need my con.
Yep.
My con fix.
Yep. And again, like, we ended up deciding not to do one today. Because, again, like, it's great. You actually sent me a link the other day to, like, I think a board game event that where somebody was doing a 4,000 point, 15 person game of Warhammer. Like, it was from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. and I'm like, yeah, they're going to need all of that time. And you were like, do you want to do this? And I was like, well, we can't because we have to take the bunnies in for their shots, and I don't actually have enough points in this country. But yeah, at some point in the future, it could be fun.
So yeah, another place that I think I forgot to mention earlier is tabletop events. So tabletop events is pretty much exclusively for gaming cons and stuff like that. We talked about their ticketing systems and probably will again next week.
Yeah.
Most gaming cons have ticketing systems where you can sign up for individual events, which is great.
Yep.
But it has just a list of all of the cons that are registered with it. So if you're looking for tabletop events, it's pretty good for that.
Yep.
Big ones, small ones.
Some the size of your head.
I knew you were going to go that way.
Of course I knew.
And this is the other thing, is like also keep in mind like size of event. Like a lot of the events that people tend to like champion as being great, I will say I don't tend to like as much just because they're too big to actually have fun at.
Yep. And again, like, that largely comes down to personal preference. Like, we've never been to Dragon Con. We have no desire to go to Dragon Con. There are plenty of people for whom Dragon Con is their favorite event, largely because it's massive and ridiculous and they like feeling like part of that massive crowd. We don't like that.
No.
And that's fine. Like, it's all personal preference.
Dragon Con is so big they don't even have a schedule.
Yeah.
There's too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Which means you don't know where any of it is at any given time.
Yeah. You just kind of luck across stuff and maybe you have a good time and maybe you don't. That, to us, isn't fun. We like to plan our events.
Yeah. And also keep in mind, like, some events might take a couple tries to, like, get right. Like, I think for Colossal Con, that was, like, now we understand how to do Colossal Con.
Yes.
The first time we were there, we just didn't. But since then, we've had fun at it.
Yeah. Well, like, we've had fun at Colossal Con doing it the second year. Again, with Colossal Con, I definitely think we had more fun because we were participating in stuff than just watching stuff. Yeah, which, again, that's fine. Like, some cons we go to specifically just to, like, watch and observe. Like, one of the ones that's coming up in November is Starbase Indie.
Mm-hmm.
And while we are both paneling at that, or at the very least, they've definitely accepted your panel. I can't tell if they've accepted mine.
Mine's still on the schedule. I need to email them soon.
Yeah. Again, they've said they'll put it on there,
Yeah.
so we'll see.
Yeah, just ask because we need to know what times we need to be there.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out if they're also putting the thing I pitched on their schedule or not. But again, We'll figure it out. I also did, like, if I am on the schedule, I need to actually write the trivia quiz.
Yeah.
But, like, that is a tiny, tiny event, but we have a lot of fun at it.
Mhm.
Whereas, some bigger events just aren't right for us. And sometimes we want a big con, sometimes we want a small con. And, like, do what makes you happy.
And we're obviously very panel heavy, like, people, generally.
Yes. Yeah, like, we would rather go to a convention that has a lot of paneling rather than one that's basically a vendor's hall and maybe one panel space. But again, especially if you're going multiple days, like, I feel like you need a decent amount of paneling. Like, if it's just a one-day con, yeah, okay, fair enough. You probably don't need that much paneling because a lot of people are basically going to be there for the vendor's hall. And that's fine. Like, if that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy. So, yeah. Do I have any other advice to give at this point?
So, do you want to do any general con advice or anything else?
Yeah, we might as well. Hydrate.
I knew you were going to go there.
Hydrate is the obvious one. Like, it doesn't matter what your preferred source of liquid is. Make sure you've got access to it. Whether that's just a bottle of water, whether that's bringing your favorite caffeine source.
Yeah, if you are a caffeine user, make sure that you have your caffeine.
Yeah,
you will need it.
You will need it. And again, like, the other thing to keep in mind. Nice. The other thing to keep in mind with most cons is food and beverage prices are probably going to be higher than average.
Yep.
Like, depending on the venue and what their thing is. Like, if it's a venue that's got a built-in Starbucks, you're probably going to be paying normal Starbucks prices. Mm. Whereas if it's got their own brand, coffee place, like, it's probably going to be pricey because it's in a convention center and they know you're a captive audience. It sucks, but be prepared for that and budget for it. The other thing to keep in mind is some events will allow outside food and beverages, some won't. Some will officially not allow it, but won't bother to check.
Yep, quite a lot.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things, right? This is why it's also kind of worth going to cons multiple years, is generally you do feel, I think I at least feel more comfortable second year and beyond, just because I at least know the basics.
Yes.
They do change stuff sometimes venues and stuff like that.
Yep.
Sometimes dates. Like, this year, because I was planning for 2026 already, because we're getting close now.
Yep.
Has a bizarre number of cons that moved from March to May, and then an equal number of cons that moved from May to March.
Yep.
Okay, guys, thanks for that.
Yep. At least it's balanced.
Yep. And some of that comes down to particularly smaller cons when venues are available and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And some cons will announce dates years in advance, some won't. Some don't announce them until relatively close. It varies.
Yeah. And a lot of that comes down to whether they know and whether they a big con like GalaxyCon can announce their dates for the next year right then because they've got the collateral to pay the deposit for next year right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Whereas a small con might need to wait to lock in their dates for the next year until they've got all of the money in for that year so they can pay the deposit for next year.
Yeah. And sometimes cons also have to move venues for a variety of reasons. That can also lead to issues there.
Yeah. Like we talked previously about Anthro, Ohio, which the first year we were there, one of our criticisms of it was they had outgrown their venue. Mm-hmm. Like they had just capped how much their venue could take, and they acknowledged that, and they moved the next year. Which again is just something that happens to cons. Cons, will sometimes grow and need a bigger venue, or sometimes they don't get the numbers, and the next year they have to have a smaller venue.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing you have to keep in mind about deciding if an event is for you. There's a lot of reasons why an event can't be for you, but sometimes it's important to separate, was this a one-off bad experience from, is this something that's structurally bad for this event?
Yeah, we've been to both quite
problem. A few times. Yeah. Sometimes an event's bad just because something bad or weird happens that's beyond anyone's control.
Yep.
Or sometimes an event's bad just because, maybe you got just stuck next to a shitty person and they made the event bad for you. We tried to highlight that, I think, a lot on this podcast about what's on the con and what's not.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, hotels can also be things that are bad. And if you're going back to a bad hotel, particularly during the summer months when air conditioning is not working properly and you are in costume, that's a reason to not go to an event.
Yeah. And again, that's not the con's fault.
It's not the con's fault, but you can't be honest to the con of just I can't attend in this venue because it's not.
Yeah. It's not suitable for me. It's got problems, whatever.
Also, keep in mind, cons in their first year are definitely still working out kinks, and their numbers generally tend to be smaller.
Yes.
And I actually, in some ways, like that, because if it's a smaller, particularly corporate con, you can take advantage of the fact that they have a budget and there's no one there.
Yeah.
Which we've done a few times.
Yeah, like the first year of Animate was pretty good up until the nonsense right at the end.
We got a lot of free stuffed animals at that one.
Yeah.
And WeebCon in Indy this year, which kind of Impulse went to. Con with a budget, con from Texas trying to establish a new base.
Yep.
Not a lot of people there, but a lot you could do just because they had budgets.
Yeah.
And if you were somebody who was looking for signatures, you probably had like no lines to get those signatures.
So yeah, like that is another thing to keep out for. Like first year cons, you are rolling the dice.
Mm-hmm.
There are pros and cons.
Pros and cons.
Yeah. But like if they work, they tend to be pretty good. But first year cons are where most cons make their biggest mistakes.
Yes.
Like a lot of cons don't make it out of their first year just because like that's where they screw all the things up, and they would be able to fix them in the next year, but like they don't have the numbers, the budget, or the whatever.
Generally, when you hear about like disaster events, which we thankfully have not had to cover in this channel, it's because a con made a pretty big mistake their first year. They're generally first year events.
Yeah, like the infamous DashCon, like it was their first time trying to run an event and they made some mistakes.
Yeah, generally the two mistakes that they make is either over-promising or overestimating the amount of people who will attend.
Yep.
We've also been to a lot of first-year events that don't do that. Like the Phoenix Ball, minus using AI art, which we called them out for, I think scaled appropriately for what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think they will grow from that point.
Yeah. You know, like again, generally speaking, a first-year con, it's better to err on the side of caution in terms of like venue space. Like, it is better to have a slightly overfull venue than a giant venue that you have to pay for that has nobody in it.
Yeah. And keep in mind, when you are rolling the dice, you have to roll the dice with the understanding that you are probably not getting your money back if stuff goes wrong.
Yeah.
Which I get is harder for some people than others.
Yes.
Then we've only asked for our money back once, and we've gotten it. We've definitely been to other experiences, though, where I've been tempted to.
Yeah. I've been to at least one event where we got an apology out of the people running it, or one of the people running it.
Yeah, there's a couple other ones that I think we might have talked about where we just didn't complain at all.
Yeah, because it just kind of wasn't worth it.
Well, like, part of the problem is with complaining with cons is almost always you're going to be complaining to the person whose fault it was not.
Yes.
And that's just one of those things that is hard.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, and we try to be careful of this, like running a con is difficult. We do recognize that. It's a very hard thing to do. It's hard to pull off. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yep.
And it's stressful.
And again, general advice if you're starting a con, start small. Like, don't try and do something massive right off the bat. Start small, build up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it well, you will have loyal people turning up who started at year one, who are still there in 20 years' time.
Yep. ColossalCon used to not even be in a water park.
Yep.
And some people remember that time period.
You know, you've got people who've been going to Techo basically as long as it's been a thing.
Yep. I'm sure they're Techo babies now.
Yep. Yeah, and there are people we've talked to at Origins Game Fair who, again, celebrated their 50th year this year. Like, I don't know if anybody's been all 50 years, but I was talking to somebody who remembered the old ticketing system where you had to, like, mail in a list of what you wanted, and somebody had to figure out how to put everybody on tables. Like, it wasn't anywhere near as big back then, but, like, Jesus.
That's got to be amazing to even think about. Yeah. So, yeah. Obviously, think about what cons you want to be loyal to. I get that, like, we obviously have a con budget. Other people do. And I get that it's hard to, like, take a risk on a new event when you've got a limited amount of income. But if you have the spare budget, I think it's worth trying just a couple times a year.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it can be risky. In terms of, like, other stuff, just basic stuff with registration briefly, like, it's hard to predict when registration is going to be crowded. My general tip for most cons is show up Friday, not right when registration opens, but, like, 2-ish hours afterward before people get off work.
Yes.
It's probably the best chance you have to have zero lines.
Yes, that's usually a quietish time, and again, it varies wildly depending on con size and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, at a big con, there's a there's a pretty good chance you're going to end up in a line at some point.
Yeah.
It sucks, but like there's no real way to avoid it.
If you're somebody like me who can't stand in lines, feel free to ask about ADA. As I think I mentioned before on this podcast, most cons do not have an ADA section of their website.
No, they're
They
kind
don't
of
even
bad
bother.
about it.
They suck at it. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Some are better than others. Some
Some are
actually
better.
do.
And some cons will even like do stuff like mail badges and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's expensive for them to do. But
Again, I think the only one I know of that we've done that did that was Gen Con.
Gen Con, which I did appreciate because we saw that line.
Yeah, the will call line was bonkers.
There were times when it was uncrowded, but it was typically like way late in the evening.
Yeah, like the time I went to will call to get the tickets I needed that hadn't been mailed to us was like 11 o'clock at night after we'd finished our last game on Wednesday.
Yeah, 11 o'clock at night.
Or
And I
Thursday,
think we went
rather.
like initially for me because I had called our thing that day at 7:30 a.m.
Yeah, and there was a giant line at that point, and fortunately, again, you went to the disability access one, and there wasn't a line there. Because again, like that was a thing you needed to do, and that was fine. So yeah, like generally speaking, be aware that at a big event, that's where you're most likely to end up queuing.
Yeah, and keep in mind if stuff does go wrong, try your best not to yell at anyone. Like as we mentioned, it's 99% of the time the person you're yelling at, it was not their fault.
Yeah. Because again, you don't know what's caused the thing to go wrong. You don't know what the decision-making process was. Like you don't know.
Yeah. And sometimes stuff can go wrong that no one can anticipate, like a pipe bursting or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, we've all heard the story from whichever con it was of like the pipe bursting in the vendors hall and like a whole bunch of stuff getting wet. Like, should the hotel have been better about their maintenance? Probably, but at the same time, it's not really any one specific person's fault.
No, and that's a hard thing to even check and have upkeep on. It might have just been faulty for years and no one noticed.
Yep. So yeah.
Other thing I would recommend, just because cons can be intense and stuff like that, we've had these experiences, is because meltdowns, regardless of whether or not you're neurotypical or not, happen. Like, I think it's dumb to suggest that only neurodivergent people have them. Everyone has meltdowns.
Yep.
Everyone.
Yep. They look different in different people, but it's the same basic underlying process.
Yeah, and keep in mind, at a con where you're on limited sleep, you're in a new environment, it's confusing and you're frustrated.
Yep. That's kind of the perfect recipe for a meltdown.
Yeah, and it can happen to anyone at any time for any reason. It's happened to both of us.
Yep. And again, like, that's just about knowing how to manage it. And, like, there's a reason why when we're in a completely new con, one of the first things I will do is just walk the space, get a sense of a few things. One, where are all the fire exits?
Yep.
Hopefully that's not information you're going to need, but you never know.
Yeah, it's always good to do because cons don't have fire safety drills, and they are almost always a fire hazard in terms of number of people, particularly the bigger ones.
Yep.
And most people, they've done plenty of experiments, go through the door they came in.
Yep, which is the wrong move.
Yep, so check your fire exits.
Yeah.
It's actually very good advice.
Yeah. So I do that, but the other thing I'm looking out for is where are the quiet places?
Yep.
Like, where's the obscure, out of the way bathroom that nobody else is going to think to use, so you can have a bit of privacy.
Like, obviously, if you're staying in the hotel that's adjoining, you can go back to that hotel room. If you're not, honestly, just going over to the hotel room, going to a random floor and like hanging out in the corridor.
That's
where
not a
no
bad
one's
idea.
around.
That's
like,
usually
we've done
pretty
that before.
quiet.
Yep.
Yep.
Your car is also a great place.
Again, like, know where you can go where you will feel safe and you've got that chance to like calm down and refine your focus, and then if you want to go back, go back.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, a bad moment doesn't have to ruin a con.
No.
Like, it can, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah. And like, keep in mind, unfortunately, con stuff just happens. People can touch you or say things that don't have anything to do with the con that can be really triggering for some people. And I get that.
Yep.
That's happened to me before. Yep. I've seen it happen to other people.
Yeah.
And I've had to like help them in some ways.
Yeah. And again, like, keep in mind what we're talking about here. There's a difference between somebody accidentally says something that is a trigger point for you without meaning to, and somebody does something that they're really not supposed to and they should know about. Like, again, it's depressing that most cons now have
cosplay is not consent.
Yeah.
But stuff still unfortunately happens at cons. Again,
Yeah.
keep in mind, as I mentioned I think before in this podcast, if anything like that happens to you, go up to one of the official cosplay booths. They will be able to talk you through it, and they will make sure that that person gets a warning.
And again, like the other thing, like, the thing that happened at this year's TwitchCon, like, that's not acceptable, and it's okay to know what is and isn't acceptable. And again, I'm not going to talk in detail about that. I wasn't there. I didn't. Google it. You'll find out the events. But like, it's one of those things that, generally speaking, especially at smaller cons, if somebody's being a creep, you can call them on it, and the con staff will support you.
Also, keep in mind that just because cons are bad or stuff's going wrong doesn't mean you can't still have fun. Like, obviously we weren't at DashCon, but we have watched videos about DashCon, and both of us have commented, like, we probably wouldn't go back given the levels of disorganization, but had we have been there, I actually think we would have had a good time.
Yep. Like, the whole everybody crowded into a ballroom and asked for money thing, like, But, other than that, it sounds like most people had a decent weekend.
Yeah, they had a bunch of really weird panels, which we would have loved.
Yeah. Like, again, British men with cheekbones was a panel. I'm like, my
You have pretty
cheekbones.
good cheekbones.
Yeah, really? I don't feel like they're pronounced enough.
I mean, mine are more pronounced than yours, I think.
But yeah.
Stop tearing on my cheeks. So yeah, keep in mind that just because a con's going wrong or you're not going to go back to it doesn't mean you don't have to have a fun time at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's just been a lot of focus, I think, in recent years because it gets views on disaster cons.
Yeah.
And a con can be a disaster and still be fun.
Yeah. Like, we've been to really bad events that we still, like, remember parts of fondly, even if it's, like, again, that Titanic dinner we went to, like, that sucked, but I still fondly remember going bowling with you afterwards to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was stupid, but it helped us both reset.
Mm-hmm. And it's all about perspective. Like, I really loved Tekko's Masquerade, and other people don't, and that's valid. But you kind of have to go and experience it for yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, again, cons, events, like, you can always find something to do. And again, like, some weekends it's going to be easier than others.
Also, a great place to check, just to deviate back to that point, if you're still open, local libraries. Local libraries are pretty much always doing stuff.
Yeah, they're frequently doing, like, weird, interesting events.
And it's normally well organized, because it's organized by librarians, the most organized people on the face of the planet.
Yeah, like, again, was it last year we went to the Sleepy Hollow themed thing?
We went to the Sleepy Hollow themed thing. We went to, like, the book ball at a different local library last year. Both of which were, like, I think either free or extremely cheap events that were very well organized. Because keep in mind, the other thing about librarians is they also, like, organize events for small children, so they expect your attention span to be, like, 10 minutes long.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we're going to drive through Cambridge for the sake of seeing if they're out yet.
Are we doing that?
Oh, we might as well.
Okay, we'll report to you guys, I guess. We're still talking at this point.
Yeah.
Are we signing off now?
I mean, we're about to turn into Cambridge, so, you know.
Okay.
So, yeah, like, it is one of those things that, when it comes down to it, you are, to a certain extent, going to get out of an event what you put into it.
Mm-hmm. Like, the more you do, the more you volunteer for stuff, the more you're kind of interested in stuff, the more you're going to get out of that event experiences. And the same comes with, like, making friends, because I know that's the hardest thing to do, and we're still trying to solve it ourselves. But
like,
the biggest thing there, as lame as it sounds, is just to let it happen kind of naturally.
Yep. Like, again, we did not attempt to become friends with Bridget and James. It's a weird way of phrasing that, but, like, it's mostly just we kept bumping into each other at different cons, and, like, just kind of got chatting to them about that, and, like, we realized we had a lot in common.
Yeah, I feel bad we haven't talked to them in a bit, just because I've been so busy at work. But
again, like, they are also busy at work and completely understand that. And again, I know they're busy this weekend, so,
So the other brief thing I think I've ranted about this before, but I probably should again. When you see somebody in a cosplay, it's cool to compliment them. Please don't compliment them and immediately say, "Did you make it?"
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of cool things that people do to their costumes besides making them from scratch, and that's okay. Like, if somebody made it, they will probably tell you that they made it, and you will be impressed.
Yes.
If they didn't make it, keep in mind that they still, like, found it and probably designed it and put stuff together. Like, all of my costumes are original concepts.
Yeah. Or there are plenty of people who commission cosplays, and that's as valid as making it yourself.
It is. You actually have to do a lot of work to find somebody who's going to be a good person to commission. And, like, that's a really hard skill set, too.
Yeah. Because again, I worry construction contests have taken the joy out of like just dressing up in something fun.
Yeah, well, this is the thing: is like competitions already honor the people who are doing like handcrafted sewing, and I do think those people absolutely should be honored. They're artists and deserve to have their work admired.
Absolutely.
But keep in mind, like thrifting clothes and putting stuff together is an art. Also, it's a different art, but it's still an art.
Oh yeah.
And it's okay for a contest not to be about that, but if you're just going around the hall in a cool costume, like for me, the experience of my art is somebody seeing it and lighting up.
Yeah.
Particularly people under the age of 5.
Yeah, the number of people, the number of small children who've seen you and said some variation of, "Mama, look, a princess," and that it melts both of our hearts every time that happens because it's so sweet.
And they don't ask if I made it because to them, I'm a princess.
Yep.
It's irrelevant if I made my own clothes. Birds could have made it for them.
Yep. Yeah, birds, mice, whatever.
Yep.
Like again, that's a moment that's usually hard to top. And again, that's one of the things that keeps us going back to cons is seeing the joy that we bring to other people.
So yeah, this is one of those things where I think we've talked about this before. Of like the advice we're giving is obviously we just love going to cons and the experience. Other people seem to really like their hobby being represented in a way that we don't care about as much.
Yeah,
which is fine. Which is, I would also encourage people, like, you can just love, like, people. That's why I go to cons, is because I love people.
Yeah. And again, like, frequently, I do sometimes enjoy going to a con to find people who enjoy the same stuff I do. Like, sci-fi cons are pretty good for that. Like, I can talk sci-fi with people, which I don't get to do very often because you're not much of a sci-fi person. And again, I live in rural Ohio where they haven't heard of, like, weird, obscure British sci-fi that I really love, but nobody else has, nobody in this country's heard of.
Yeah.
Like, if you live in Ohio and want to talk to me about Blake Seven, I would love to chat with you. Email me. Concouplepodcast@gmail.com. Anyway. But, like, it's one of those things that you have those experiences. Like, part of the reason I'm running the Mass Effect game at Acadecon in a week is I'm hoping I've once again got a table of people who really like Mass Effect who are just having to talk about it with me for a little bit afterwards. Because again, I don't get that experience that often, and finding your people in that regard is a good, enjoyable thing that I'm glad people at cons are able to do. Now, I don't know if you get that to the same extent. Just because I know you're not as pop culture interested as I am.
So like having the experience of having somebody like the same thing you like.
Yeah.
I got it rarely, like when we were at the Degrassi panel. Doesn't look like they're out yet. No, they're out. I see one. I see one. I see one.
Yep, I see Manny.
Yeah.
Oh God. They're still horrifying.
Yep. And the town is of course indifferent.
Yep. They seem to have more of them on ladders this year, or am I imagining that?
I thought they were always the same. I think they make a new one every year, but it's just one new one.
Who knows? Like, there's a lot of them at this point. There's like 50-something.
There was more than 50. Put it this way, they're all numbered. The highest I think I've seen is 118.
Yeah.
It's so creepy looking.
They look like they want to steal your souls.
Keep in mind, they're life size, but they're not quite life size. They're like slightly smaller, and yeah,
it's great. For the YouTube audience, what I should probably do at some point is just like actually,
I forgot that one had a dog associated with it. That's just like a stuffed animal.
Oh yeah, I also forgot about that. I feel like I should I don't know, take some pictures of them and just like edit them into the YouTube video, but that's work.
I mean, I do take some satisfaction in the fact that they always put these things up, I think, on Halloween night.
Yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, at least one person's looking at them and being freaked out.
Good.
So yeah.
Honestly, what you should do is dress up as one of these and like shout out and scare people.
Oh God. The thing is, though, the costumes aren't that like weird or problematic.
No, it's just the faces.
Yeah.
The horrible faces.
The horrible, horrible faces.
See, occasionally I felt like that type of camaraderie, like I'm feeling right now about our like horror against the weird stuff.
Yep.
But normally for me, it's more just kind of just like meeting cool people who like I love listening to people talk about stuff that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
it's just exciting for me, even if I don't know anything about that particular thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's so much of content right now is just so critical and like mean. Well, I don't want to say mean, but critical.
Yeah.
And like, there's a place for that. But sometimes I just want, like,
Bit of joy.
yeah, just raw and dying love of stuff. That's cool. You're allowed to like things. And you can like things that are popular or unpopular. Who cares?
Yeah. And again, like, I will frequently watch like video essays on games or TV shows or whatever that I've no intention of watching or playing, but I love watching them because it's somebody talking about something they love and are passionate about. Like, that's fun. And again, like, I love being able to do that sometimes. Like, again, I've got there's a panel I want to run at a con that at some point I need to actually like pitch to a convention on a weird, obscure, like Japanese puppet show sci-fi thing that like nobody has heard of. But I would love to just talk to a room about how weird and wonderful it was for an hour. And at a con, I can do that.
Mhm.
Like, it would have to be approved, it would have to be submitted, all of that jazz. But like, there are definitely cons I could pitch that to that would 100% accept that panel.
Oh, yeah, and as somebody who's like, a woman and disabled woman and has a lot of critical things said about them on a regular basis, like a thing I legitimately thought I couldn't do like 2 years ago was just go up to a table of strangers and play like a tabletop game with them.
Yep.
And I've gotten that confidence through going to cons.
Yeah. Like, you do that fairly frequently now at conventions. And like, you've reached the point where like you don't even need me there as your safety blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can go to separate events at board game cons and have fun.
It's less that you're my safety blanket. It's more just like, if you're white, male, particularly tall, coated, people just don't say things about you. So if you're next to one of those, then you also don't have stuff said about you. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm your deflector shield.
Like, I wrote down a list of random things people have commented to me on over my lifetime the other day because I was bored.
Yep. And it says something that everybody who commented on that was like with like their own suggestions. They're all women.
Yep. And some of the men's were just like, what the fuck? You
Yep.
experience this on a daily basis?
Yep.
And I'm like, yep.
That's your one curse word for the podcast. But yeah. So I think it's safe to say that we've managed to talk for like 2 hours just about like stuff we like about cons and tips for cons and just weird stuff in Ohio.
Yeah, this probably won't be a popular episode.
No, this was a weird rambly one, but like Again, next week's a Catacon, week after that's UConn.
We will have plenty of things to say about both of those.
Yep. Then there's a 1 week break, and then we are doing Starbase Indy. So
yes. After that is probably GalaxyCon. I still kind of don't want to go to GalaxyCon.
Yeah.
But it's in Columbus, so we'll go.
It's easy.
Tickets are like $130.
Jesus.
I think they're still 10% discounted. I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, like GalaxyCon's overpriced.
It's overpriced. There's a lot of celebrities. I don't care about meeting celebrities, so and the celebrities are what bring in people who are there exclusively to meet celebrities, which valid, but I also I feel like that should just be a separate thing, and yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll probably go to that because it's also the last week of term. So, and after that, we're definitely doing one more con in December. We're still trying to figure out how the stuff works out there, and we will be doing a top 10 cons and top 10 con moments, I think, for the end of the year.
Yep. That one we might actually plan ahead in advance.
Yeah, I'll probably come up with my list in advance.
And I will probably forget.
Yes. And I will come up with your list for you.
Thanks. So yeah, we are pretty close to home at this point.
Yeah, so you should probably sign off.
Yeah. So at this point, on the off chance you've actually listened to this episode, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And if you do see us at a con, please say hi.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing that all cons should have is an Artemis Bridge simulator.
Yes. Honestly,
that's barely even a joke.
Well, it's not really. Any con can benefit from an Artemis Bridge simulator.
Yeah, they're fun, they're different,
And the only way I think we'll actually learn to play an Artemis Bridge simulator is if they're at all the cons.
Yep. Because again, there's a little bit of a learning curve on them, but I think they're really fun once you kind of know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thank you very much for listening, and hopefully we'll see you next week for a Catacon.
I'm really hoping that one goes well.
Here's hoping.
Bye.
Bye.